Yeah, that looks pretty. I like that.
What I did was I routed out like 4 of these out of 3/4, stacked them all together, taped them in a big block.
Oh, okay.
Then did like 3 layers of Bondo around it till I had about a 1/2 inch. And I popped out those center pieces and ground it down so it was all even thickness all the way around. And then started shaping the front
the contour to look like this here.
And then I laid up fiberglass over a couple sheets of fiberglass over the top of this. And then that's what gave me the nice similar curve. You can see inside. It's just layer of fiberglass.
Oh, yeah.
Follow the same kind of shape, curve. Blocked off the heater vent there, and then there's access through the instrument cluster hole to run all the cabling and everything.
My wires. It's in there now. I guess there's no turning back, huh?
We'll let you wrap it, then we'll make
a piece that fits as snug as possible.
Yeah, we'll adjust the piece to the correct size.
Because this will end up just being press fit in, so that it's removable when he needs to access.
If anything needs to be serviced or changed.
Oh yeah. We're just only going to put a few seams on it, seaming along here and here.
With Scott almost done with the dash and getting ready to go over to Drew's for the suede wrapping, I knew that I really wasn't going to need to worry about it because they'd definitely get the job done. So Rob and I went ahead and got started on the coilover install on the Cabrio. I've been using H&R since they were private labeled for Newspeed, and they are by far the best choice out there. And we use them on all of our project cars. That's not too high for you, is it, Rob?
Not yet.
Okay, just making sure. Put a nice new coat of undercoating in here. This will give us a nice, clean, fresh black look in our wheel wells till the first time it rains. Then it'll look like it does right now. Then we got to hold the sway bar up into place.
Hold on before you get in there.
Get on this side. We did like a full suspension swap, and we did the swap. We didn't tighten these brand new ball joints down, and now there's no way to get to it, so we got to come back off the car. Just kind of an oversight. All right, I'd say that's good enough. Just like NASCAR, except I'm not putting a wheel on.
Now the bolts face back, right, Dean?
Let's try and halfway align it. We'll push them in just a hair. Once we get the intercooler situation sorted out, I bought Audi TT wheel wells for both sides, and we'll graft in the TT vent into the stock wheel well, and we'll put the wheel liner back in the wheel well with the vent in there so the intercoolers can breathe a little bit freer, since they're going to be tucked in the front of the fenders instead of in the front, so we got the necessary room. I'll set the toe on the top on both sides, and then we can just cinch it up with the air. Alright, so tie rod, axle, strut, ball joint, sway bar, it's all tight. How's it going? Hey, Rob's going to come over to check out the Fox, the camera crew, Make sure Kevin stays there for a few minutes. Because we're bringing, the stripper chicks with us, because we're going to do some modeling with the car. And we need Kevin there for it. Hey, did you get a copy of that issue of the Golf yet? You son of a bitch. Are you going to buy your own copy? You what? You have mine. Rob, grab my copy of the Gulf while you're there. Don't be trying to hide it either. All right, Rob's on his way over then. Later.
It's a lot of roof guns.
Yeah. It'll come out pretty good though. It is at eye level, so it's got to be pretty nice.
Yeah,
The holes just kept getting bigger.
I see.
So I made the decision just to cut it out, put a new piece in.
Gotcha. Just more hassle than it was going to be worth then welding them up.
Well, you probably could have got them all welded up, but you know, what's to say one wouldn't appear there in 6 months or
Yeah,
next year, rusting again.
already too far gone.
Yeah. You know, there's a rubber seal that runs right here, both sides, and they're kind of a cloth rubber, and they hold moisture.
I got you. Now I can really see why you decided to cut this out, because that's just waiting for another one to pop through.
Oh yeah, you know. It won't rust again right there.
Yeah.
Actually, the car was pretty straight.
Yeah.
There was just a few little problems with it. We'll weld a couple little patches in here. I'm going to fiberglass the whole thing in, just like boat fiberglass.
I see.
You know, no water will get down in there.
While Rob was out running errands, I had him go ahead and swing by Max Radiator and drop the AC lines off to be modified. The way the Mark III AC compressor was coming off the engine accessory bracket, it was having some interference issues with the Mark IV oil cooler, and about the only thing we could do was to modify the lines to fit to get around it.
All right. Thank you.
Well, now that the engine's in the car and it's in there the way I want it, the first thing I'm going to go through and do is remove some of the street wires, bad boy maximum power bullshit, stereo crap, and put factory connections back in here. And I'm going to push my my engine management harness through the firewall after I've grafted on the correct plugs for the Mark III fuse block. So I got that sitting back here on the workbench. A really, really hybrid harness because I'm using an AWW motor from a 2001 car, so it's got its own set of like NOx sensors and stuff. So I had to cut the NOx sensor plugs and the O2 sensor plugs and the coil pack plugs off of the AWW harness and start grafting those into the Passat AEB harness. And the AEB harness is also from a longitudinally mounted engine. So I'm going to have to go through and lengthen some of the wires for like the throttle body and the crank position sensor and maybe even the mass airflow sensor. And then when I get all that stuff ready to go and I actually get ready to push it through the firewall, I'm going to take all these Passat wiring plugs off, and there's like 4 of them. I'm only actually going to use like 3 of them, and integrate the correct Mark III plugs from the Mark III harness onto there. So I have to take these white plugs. White plugs are the motor management plugs, and then my scan port plugs, and my wiper plug. Well, my wiper plug's already in there. I took it out of another harness, so I have to cut all this and integrate that. So before I even think about doing any kind of wiring like that, I'm going to give everybody a tip, because I get a lot of phone calls about this, and it gets really old. I wouldn't think of touching this stuff without having the wiring diagrams from the 2001 motor, the Passat motor, and the Mark III. Because if you don't, there's no point even trying to do this. You're going to fuck it up. So don't even bother. Don't call me and ask. Let's get started. I got my 3 engine plugs. Those will get the Passat harness grafted into them. I'll be able to plug it back into the central electric fuse block, and that's exactly what we're looking for. This is what was left of the Mark IV harness. I've really had to tear into it quite a bit, and I'm also going to keep it around for a little bit longer because I might end up needing some more of this kind of stuff. You know, I don't think I do, but I'm going to hold on to it just in case. Nothing worse than throwing away a wiring harness, because you can pretty much count on a wrecking yard it's not going to sell you part of a wiring harness. You make you buy the whole thing. These are my cheat sheets. Done this a couple times, so I've got this integration of these plugs into this harness, and usually just refer to that, and then some of the other mystery stuff I'll get the book out. I've always found it helpful to start with the larger gauge wires when I'm doing this and get those out of the way, and then get into the smaller gauge. When you're cutting wires like this, a really good tip I can give you is never cut them just right up against the butt. Always leave a wire with enough of the color to where you can still identify it, to where if you do have some kind of troubleshooting issue and you're trying to go back through and troubleshoot your wiring, that there's enough of the wire left that you can say, okay, that was definitely, you know, the brown wire in plug number 5, versus, you know, if you just yank the wire in the back, you're like, you got a couple copper strands left or something, they really ain't going to tell you too much other than the fact that you're going to have to spend a little more time sorting out your wiring. This is like probably like no shit the most advanced harness I've ever had to put together. I'm just sitting here thinking about, I don't want to have to troubleshoot a problem if I got a no start. I want to not have to think, wow, it's my wiring harness. I want to be like, wow, okay, it must be, you know, something else. So I've got my wiring about where I need it now. This other stuff, this is like for the N75 valve and the N80 valve and the mass airflow sensor. I'll cut that to length once I get the final positions on the switches on the boost pipe as it comes down along the front. And I got all my knock sensors and stuff integrated in here, and I cut all that stuff to length. The last thing I had to really do was just push this harness up through the firewall. Now the rest is inside the car. So with the fuse block here, basically I just got to plug these connections back in. Since I used an AEB wiring harness, I'll end up putting the ECU right on top of the fuse block. It fits in there real good, and it's not a waterproof case, so it's important to keep it out of the elements, so I'll stick that in there. But everything I needed the dash out for, I'm good, so I'm going to go ahead and put the dash back in the car. Tighten up the firewall. I'll just double check all my wiring, make sure everything is ran the way I need it to be ran, everything gets to the correct switch and location that it needs to get to, like glow box light stuff, and I'll start putting the trim back in the dash. Put some armor on it, look all nice and pretty.